What's up? Welcome to another episode of Let's Chat Eavesdrop Edition. My name is Joel, and I have my youth team staff here together with me, Marianne, Kwang, Yihong, and Dylan. And as with the last two episodes, I also had my fiance here. Ethan is here with us, and like the last two episodes, we were discussing things pertaining to relationships, boy-girl relationships. Today is a very interesting topic. Can Christians, or is online dating okay for Christians? And admittedly, when we had a pre-meeting to this episode, we kind of talked about who has ever had experience with this. There's only one person who's had first-hand experience in this, and you won't be able to guess who. I don't think you'll be able to guess who.
You should get them to guess, right?
But if you want to guess, just hit pause, comment on the comment section and see whether you can guess correctly by the end of this video and see whether you are right. But in the meantime, very interestingly, about a month or a month plus ago, Marianne and Kwang actually went for an event dealing with this issue. So I'm just going to ask Marianne, how was that event, and any initial thoughts about online dating?
All right, so let me just describe the nature of the event. Basically, it was during the MCO period, and the organizers wanted to give an opportunity for Christian singles to meet, mingle, learn, and also discuss issues and challenges that they face regarding matters of singleness, courtship, and marriage. And so they held this over a 3-week period. I was asked to be a speaker for the second week, and Kwang jumped in together with me to be a facilitator. I think one thing that really surprised me was just the amount of participation. Like there were Christian guys and girls from Malaysia, and some even were tuning in from Singapore, all actually very keen to I think to mix, to mingle. And there was a good lot of them who had questions that they wanted to ask. And I think one of the main questions that I got from participants, even before the event began, right, was the mere question like, is online dating sinful? Am I sinning if I go online and try to find like a life partner? So this was one of the questions that was brought up during that time. And I'll be honest, being in the generation, so my husband Daniel and I met when online dating was still in its infancy. Yeah, so the time that we got to know each other, Tinder was born. and so for us, the whole idea of online dating was very alien. And even up to like, I think sometime this year, the idea of online dating to me was a very foreign thing. I've walked with many people who have used that app, but this event was helpful because it opened my eyes to really search the scriptures and find the answers to what the Bible has to say, what are the guiding principles for online dating. And I'm thankful for that learning experience, at the same time teaching. Yeah, it was a steep learning curve.
Yeah.
And then, because the event that we went to, Marianne, essentially that's how they played it out as well.
Yeah.
To just elaborate a bit more on the event that myself and Marianne went, it was an event fully singles only. So about 200 people, all singles.
No, 130.
Oh yeah, sorry. 200 is the registered, then 130 is the one that came. 130 people came, all singles. And the idea of the event was, after the talk explaining online dating and everything, then you're supposed to go into breakout rooms you answer 2 questions only, And essentially that's like your bio. You see your face and you answer 2 questions, like what's your pet peeves? What do you look for in a partner? After answering that 2 questions, you are swapped to another breakout room, and then like another group of singles will come and then share another 2 different questions. So then that's how it is. And then once all things is done, everyone can go into this teh tarik session where you can choose which breakout room you want to go to, and they would open up the floor to personal message. So they turn off personal message on Zoom. Then only in the last session you're allowed to personal message, and then that's where you start to strike a conversation.
Yeah. So there are external conversations going on as well as internal.
There was a lot of internal conversations going on.
What happens if one person but then has multiple conversations going on?
There was I remember at one of the churches, the leader, she said that one girl had a few guys talk to her. So like there is that. So like, internal conversation. Then it's really whether the girls would want to Yeah, actually no. Yeah, because the event said guys need to make the first move. So the event actually said tell the girls not to personal message the guys, but the guys, if you want to say something to girls, you be a man and make the first move. That's what Marianne said actually. Yeah, so
I recommended that. I didn't say that it's set in stone, but if you're looking at the design of marriage where the male takes the spiritual leadership, then guys step up lah, you know.
But that's another topic, another.
You can check that out on our first episode.
So then after the personal messaging, then you can choose to then continue conversation outside of Zoom. So if let's say the conversation is going good and you want to continue, then you exchange Instagram handles or Facebook profiles, then you continue chatting from there. But if there's no interest and you feel the conversation very dry, you just leave it at that. So it's like that. So it's like step by step one. Yeah.
Okay. Is anyone going to ask Kwang the obvious question?
Let me do the honors.
Okay,
did you meet anyone from the event, and how has it been since then? You don't have to reveal the person's identity.
No, of course I won't reveal the person's identity.
So there's a person. Good job, Marianne.
No. Okay. Yes, I did started chatting with a female participant. And the conversation was nice, and we continued the conversation after the event. Yeah.
Okay, we'll leave that with that to spare you more details. Before we even get into what the Bible had to say, because I'm sure you had to reflect on it and talk about it at the event. I mentioned earlier, none of us actually have experience in first-hand experience in actually participating on an online dating app. Why haven't you? Why not? Instead of asking you why did you? Why not? So maybe I can start with Kwang.
Why not? Okay, admittedly, there is a taboo of online dating, and apps like Tinder lah, Coffee Meets Bagel lah, this or that lah. Admittedly, it was not exactly looked upon with good with it was frowned. It was kind of frowned upon per se, in certain Christian communities. So I just decided not to go down that route. And also on my end, I was also very active in a lot of ministries, sports, this or that. So it's not like I was lacking interaction in that sense. Yeah, Marianne's smiling, right? Yeah, so those two lah, one is the taboo of it, and secondly is there was no particular need throughout my entire singlehood. Yeah.
I really didn't see the need to do so. Yeah, there were guys popping up, and I wasn't even online. So no thanks. But
harassing you.
No lah, not harassing. Just expressing
interest,
general interest in your direction.
Aggressively.
No.
Yeah. The closest, no online dating lah. But I had a colleague who tried to set me up with his friends, so that was awkward. But yeah. I know people who do online dating because they feel like their circle of friends very small, or they're in like family-run business and they don't really meet much people, and even if they do, it's like kids. So yeah, then they prefer online dating. Also, I think because they want to see what's there out there.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
But no online dating for me.
No online dating. Yihong?
Anything that's close to online dating for me happened when I was 14. The time I don't have dating apps, but through Friendster or MSN, I forgot which, I met some strangers online. And I was young and dumb. I also put my phone number on MSN Messenger.
Whoa.
Yeah, and apparently one of my friends logged into MSN Messenger on a cyber cafe and they forgot to log out, and someone else saw it. And for some reason, I got connected to someone in the other end of Malaysia. I come from the north. This person comes from the south. So this is my closest experience to online dating lah.
Okay.
But after that, as I was growing older, I don't want to get in a relationship.
Mm-hmm.
So whatever relationship I had is just that I met someone, it happens organically, we got together, that kind of things.
Yeah.
So I don't purposely go and look for people to date through online apps. So that's why I don't use it.
Okay. Interesting. I think personally one of the reasons why I've never touched or never gone near online dating as far as I can remember is because I think whenever someone is attracted to someone, or at least in my case, if I knew that I was going to be attracted to someone, I needed to see them firsthand, like see how they serve God. That's always one of the biggest things that makes me attracted to them. We talked about that in the previous episode as well, about faith and why faith is important, why church is important. I've heard of someone who was on an online dating app, and I think one of the template questions that the app had was, "What would you like to do on a Sunday?" And this person in the profile, right, in his description of himself, talked about how he was a Christian and he's serving God and things like that. But his perfect Sunday never included going to church or hanging out with church people at all. So the question was, "What describe your perfect Sunday?" And his perfect Sunday never included anything about church. So that was like, a red flag on an online dating app, kind of thing. So I think people can, answer the questions just like how they think people want to hear them, or how, they perceive people would accept them as. So yeah, it was online dating apps were just never appealing to me. For those of you who don't know, or you want to check the comment section right now, and whoever you guessed, by process of elimination, you would know that there's no one else that has used a dating app except for the youngest member of our youth team right now. Dylan, explain to us why.
Okay. Just to put it into context, when I was younger, I mean not that much younger, but when I was younger, I guess after high school is a place where, like, you grow up with all your friends, and then everyone just like disperse. And then you enter like either college or uni, like you meet a lot of people. But then like I remember very like I still remember like very clearly, like usually your first semester is like you don't know a lot of people, so like you nothing to do, can't find people to go out and have fun. Like I mean I'm not that social, that's why like, it takes me like good 2 to 3 semesters to actually make friends with people and like hang out with them. So like I just tried using Tinder for a while, and that was without any like so-called intention of dating. I just like it was that I mean in Malaysia I would say that was like the in thing, like everyone was like trying Tinder. Of course they have their own reasons, okay. My reason was just to see what this was about and chat with people. And
You got meet people, are you?
no, I didn't meet like face to face, none. It was just
how many
all
people
done.
swipe right?
I cannot tell.
It was countless.
I cannot tell, but and I also can't remember that. But I know for sure there were like more than one hand, okay. Yeah. And it was just tiring to just chat with so many people at one time. And again, I came without the intention of like doing anything. Like it was just trying out. So it was fun, but it just grew on. It didn't grow on me at all. I just like uninstalled it and just went on with life as usual. Yeah. Again, I'm not saying that I don't have a life, but just that time was like too free. I really had nothing better to do after like the first semester break, and then like okay, just try it out. Yeah.
Maybe just to go back, Kwang, you were saying earlier that in Christian communities sometimes this online dating is frowned upon. Maybe you can just, for those youth or people who just have no idea why it's even frowned upon, maybe just share that side of it. Like, we are not saying we frown upon it, but why is it usually, or the perception is that it's usually frowned upon?
Yeah, as in, I would definitely say media has portrayed Tinder as a one night stand. So that is out there, and it's that kind of it is that what's the word? It developed that personality, and naturally any other online dating app also did breed similar similar personalities because of that.
I can chip in on
Yeah.
what Kwang is saying because especially in the weeks leading up to the event that I was speaking at, there were lots of questions that were sent by participants and even young people who got in touch. And the sense that I got was somehow, like, there's this perception, right, that if you have to go online to find your life partner, you don't have enough faith to trust God to bring the one to you. So that was one. And I think number two is that certain church leadership still frowned upon on online dating. They feel as if it's like a not enough faith thing, or you're exposing yourself to temptation and sins thing. And so when young people are thinking about going online to meet people, they feel very guilty. Like there's a very heavy sense of guilt that has been put on them. And I also think so. I think these two things are: you don't have enough faith for God to bring the one to you, and number two, you're exposing yourself to sexual temptations online. Even though if you do explore that reasoning behind it, it doesn't really make sense. Yeah. So I mean, we'll talk about that later, but at least this is what I can chip in from the conversations that I had and the questions that were asked.
Yeah. As in online dating app, some of my Christian friends who are on some of these things do say that at the end of the day, it is meeting people. You're not necessarily meeting your life partner. Like,
correct.
Yes, maybe there is an intention behind it, all of these things, but like what Joy mentioned, like you cannot know them upfront, ma.
Yeah.
But at the first glance is whether there is any slight attraction physically.
Yeah.
Usually that's one of the things, and then looking at the bio and seeing whether that's someone who you want to talk to, and then to go meet and then see where the friendship or the relationship can build from there. So my friends who used the more safer, let's say safer, like the more tamer dating apps, do mention that they actually do meet nice people, and usually after 1-2 dates, they say there's they know that you wouldn't go further than that. And then they just either remain friends or they just don't necessarily talk. But it's essentially just finding someone and then just meeting up with them. So I think on that respect, as in it should be fine to actually use it to meet. Well, I don't know what the rest of you think on that.
Yeah. I guess in exploring this whole idea of online dating, right, and what the Bible has to say about it, and actually of all the questions that were received, the bottom line question was like, so can I date online or not if I'm a Christian? They can write a whole essay, but that's what they're asking at the end of the day. And of course it got me thinking. So going back to the Bible, right, when you look at like say Genesis 2:24, right, when God creates everything and he actually institutes marriage as part of his design. Therefore, a man will leave his father and mother and cleave to his wife, and they become one flesh. And so if that's the case, and marriage is part of God's design, then most of us as human beings will have that natural desire to want to find someone to be a life partner, to spend the rest of our life with, of the opposite sex, right? And therefore, there will be this attempt to want to search for that person. And when we think about whether it's physical or whether it's virtual, right, they are just different platforms and different arenas where there are opportunities to meet and to connect with people, right? In fact, when you think about it, before MCO, very few of us would have thought of the idea of having community online in church, right? But we are so thankful to God that at least, although it's not the optimum, at least we do have a virtual platform where Christians can gather together and it's a sense of community. In fact, it can be a worldwide community as well. So if we can consider an online platform to do church together, what is hindering us from thinking about using an online platform for a Christian man and a Christian woman to seek out with discernment and with wisdom, perhaps someone whom they might end up spending the rest of their life with? And I'm sure all of us here would have known friends who are Christian, who are committed to Christ, who have met people are better half online.
Yeah.
And are doing well. So I don't think the Bible has any issues about meeting someone online. But biblical principles will guide you on how you date online. It might it might affect the choice of online dating apps you use. Like you might want to find one that in which is not so much of casual hookups, but it's more of a, how I put it, looking for long lasting relationships kind of thing. So those kind of principles.
Yeah. Thanks, Marianne. Yeah, that's very insightful to draw that from our current situation as well, where we are in this lockdown. Maybe I just throw it to the floor. Anyone that can answer. You know, how much do you need to know a person before you say, okay, I'm swiping right, or okay, I'm matching with this person? How much do you feel like you need to know a person?
Yeah, I can go first.
Yeah,
Okay,
okay,
go
you got
ahead.
experience, right?
Okay, what I remember, okay, and it's also in my opinion, I even like went to the point of like searching online, what is the best way, to like get people to swipe you and everything, because I looked it up, and because it's all based on statistics, right? How people, how many times a person's profile gets swiped because of what they write and how they profile it. I do see why that makes sense, because it kind of shows like your effort, in like, and let's say if we're talking about dating now, and it does tell that, even in your profile picture or how you write that bio and everything, if you put in the effort, more like likely people would like swipe right. So I would say that would be the first thing, and that's like just straight up data, that Tinder gives, right? But if, let's say, if it's as in my perspective, to some extent, who they are would matter. Looks and everything would also like matter. But I will always look at the full list of what they talked about in life. So to me, that's like, if they write too little, it's like, okay, it's very intriguing, but I don't know enough to want to swipe or not. But if they write too much, right, it's like, a bit too long. So that's like a spot where like it's just enough to tell who you are, but at the same time, not enough to make people wonder about who you are. Like that's how I would like approach this.
Yeah, I guess it goes beyond the bio and profile. So if you see someone who is a Christian, and you engage in conversation with them, hopefully that conversation, like for instance, if you swipe and both of you have something in common, right, and then you start chatting, right, hopefully with discernment you'll be able to gauge whether this is somebody whom you might want to continue to get to know, or if there's a possibility of something beyond a casual acquaintance and even maybe say a friendship. I feel that it has to go beyond just looking at one's profile, but I think it will have to come from that online interaction that two people will have to have. So it's kind of like taking a chance. I do salute people who do that, because being the introvert I am, I'd be very afraid to approach somebody.
There's three levels to it, ma. One is the surface bio, picture and bio. Then is the conversation. Then is in real life. So how to make someone start the conversation, I have to admit it's I think what Dylan also say, Christian and pretty. There's nothing.
Hey, I did not say it's Christian and pretty.
You say pretty. Yeah.
I said,
but then like what Marianne said, actually, I think the question should also be, how then what in the conversation will make you want to then meet in real life? I think that would play a bit more significant role, because I do have one friend who's not a Christian, who use an app that specifies the religion that you are looking for, and she specifically picks Christian guys because she is tired of all those guys who want one night stands. So she will purposely say herself as a Christian and then to find Christian guys, because she knows that Christian guys want something that lasts a bit longer. So, and then she admitted to me, it's like, why these guys, like after talking to them, don't want to meet up with me? So that's good. And I said, like, if any of these guys actually said, meet up with you, right, I will question him also. So like on the surface
Yeah.
level, it's really just looking at the bio and see whether you want to strike a conversation.
I actually had two questions in the follow-up to our conversation earlier about this. I think we've been having a really good conversation, but I'll start off with the more the fun question, the funner question first. How much does look actually play a role in this entire online dating thing? I mean, if everything is very nice, the profile is very nice, but suddenly you just don't like the way they look. How much does look play a role? Does looks really matter?
I think the difficulty is that because it is online, you have so little reference of who the person is. It's literally either the way you type and whatever you see on social media, or it's literally that's all you can see.
Okay.
So I don't, even if I were to say, okay, yes, it does matter, but I don't think it's a fair representation for the girl or for who, or even for the guy, right? Because you don't get to really show your sides, every part of you, in some sense, compared.
Oops.
Oh.
Okay, no worries. While Dylan is trying to get back on, let's go to Yi Hong. How much do you think looks play a role in this? Does looks really matter?
I think looks for me is a first impression. Like I would look at the looks before I would even consider anything else, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah, so
it does matter quite a lot lah. Okay, let's just put it as that. Okay, Kwang.
What Dylan said was very interesting. He said you cannot see all the angles. Yeah, the side view lah, from the stomach lah, the arm lah. Wait, you're saying how looks
does looks
for
really
general
matter?
or for online dating?
I mean, especially for online dating, but I mean, if you are on an online app, let's say, and you are, seeing a profile and everything about the profile seems great, okay, perfect. Everything seems like perfect as perfect can be, right, on an online profile. But you suddenly see her face and you're like, no.
You make it so extreme. But I
What do you
would
think?
admit that definitely looks definitely does play a role, especially for online, because there's really like no reference for you to go off, and admittedly it doesn't play the full role, but it does help with the first impressions.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. So that's perspective from the guys. I think pretty standardized. Dylan, you want to finish your thought before I go on to the girls?
It's what Kwang said also, like you don't get to see the full reference, or you only get to see it one side. So and again, it all depends on perspective. So it's not whether or not the person is like attractive or not attractive, but it's to the person's perspective whether you are attractive enough or not to them. Because in a real life setting, like you wouldn't engage until you have seen the person, right? But for here, like you only get to see like within that little pixel, right? That's all. That's what I was saying.
Okay, cool. Thanks, guys. B, you want to answer this?
I know some girls have like quite a few criteria when it comes to looks. Yeah, so they need the guy to be like fair, or like they need the guy to be okay. They need the guy to have certain features. I'm quite particular about nose lah, but that's me. I'm just weird. I know.
I wasn't pointing to me, by the way. I was pointing to my nose because she's mentioned that before.
I know friends who, they are quite particular about height, but I think it depends on like how much you want to meet a person. That's how much you would consider the looks lah. Yeah, because even like if the guy looks good and then you start talking to the person, but then you cannot click at all, there's not much to it lah. Yeah, so I would say that looks plays a part, but then I think when you're online, you're looking for someone, after a while, like I think the longer you are online, the less the looks will like play an important role. But when you first start off, then like you feel like, oh, okay, I have the choice to pick from whatever looks good first lah.
Yep.
So that's what I think, like over time the looks will decrease in value.
Interesting. Okay. See, a girl has a different perspective all the time. Okay, Marianne.
Yeah, I'll tell this little story. When I was 15, I had my first crush on a guy. And of course, I was quite overweight at that time. I was at like 80 plus kilos, lah, right? So I had a lot of issues with the way my appearance. And I remember that our friendship got to a point where I felt that we liked each other. We could talk to each other, and so I made the first move to say, I like you very much. And his response to me actually shaped the way I viewed myself, and for many years I struggled with it. So he said, I like you too, but my friends think that I deserve someone better. And of course he was referring to my physical appearance lah. And I think for many years I struggled with that, thinking that okay, if somebody was going to be with me for the rest of my life, the only valuable thing would be to see how I look like on the outside. And it took years of God graciously changing, bringing people into my life to change the way I understand how people make connections, how God brings people into relationships. And so even personally for myself, and this is a quirk, I don't like guys who look good. Yeah, I really don't like guys who physically look appealing. I don't like them at all. And I won't feel attracted to them. So I usually find guys who somewhat have I don't know how to say it, like it's warm teddy bear kind of feeling that they give you, like warm, fuzzy,
Okay,
cuddly.
it's Daniel. We get it.
Yeah.
It's Daniel.
and God gave me my teddy bear. So
Yes.
the end of story. Yeah.
Yeah, before anything,
Yeah.
I just want to say that yes, okay, I think for the guys, definitely, okay, we did say that yes, looks, matter at the start and everything, but I would emphasize that exactly what Ethan said, looks actually slowly loses its value. There are one or two experiences on my end where I'll admit that I wasn't exactly physically attracted to this person, but somehow, some way, just getting to know her more and more and more and more, you realize that wow, you actually just miss being around the person and her personality, and you realize that looks then really you don't care because you just want to be with a person.
Yeah.
So I just also reiterate Ethan and not to leave the guy standing and say, looks better.
Yeah, but that's why I think I mentioned it in our forum as well. It's not that looks aren't important at all, but for most girls, I just feel like it may not be like the most important for me to want to get to know you. For guys, at least that might be one of the first things that criterias lah. Okay, before we end, maybe I just want to ask as a follow-up, and after someone matches with you or you match with someone on an online dating app, what's the follow-up? Because we've talked about how profiles and pictures and just looking at their bio might not actually be who they are. So what sort of questions should we ask? What are the right questions to ask to, like, because if you don't know the person in real life, it might be difficult to straight away ask them very personal questions. And you also don't want to cross that line where we've also talked about where, when you match with someone on an online dating app, it might not actually be, I want to date you or I want to be in a relationship with you. Although that might be in the future, but it's kind of like an indication to say, like, let's build on the friendship. So how do you actually ask the correct questions to this person?
Yeah, I'm just thinking back on like people I've journeyed with who have used the app, and also drawing lessons from like speaking to them, and I realized I think that in one sister in particular, she really I think intently did ask about his his commitment to Christ, his relationship with God. She's not upfront about it,
Yep.
and also his commitment to church. The friends that he had, like the friends and the group of friends that he had, his regular schedule, how did he spend his time? I think, and from there, they got to know each other by exchanging these kinds of information, and I think these would be some of the searching questions to ask, right? Because then you will know what this person's life kind of like revolves around, right? Based on his his or her schedule, based on what his or her, his or her commitment to the Christian community, the local church. So I think sometimes if you are searching for someone, it's okay to be upfront about these kind of questions, rather than skirting around the issue and wanting to comfort yourself to say this guy is a Christian or this girl is a Christian and he looks good or she looks good and it's okay. Yeah, so I think you got to ask the tough questions sometimes.
Yeah, definitely need to ask about the tough questions, but I think like starting off, just ask like about experiences, like get the person to kind of share their view on like certain things, or like describe, I guess, their relationship with their family, or how was like the university life for them, or how like what was like something that like your best friend did for you that was really like meaningful, stuff like that. So then you can see kind of what they value, or how much they emphasize on people and relationships, or what they view as important lah. So I guess those kind of questions. But it's a bit hard lah to I feel like when you're texting someone, it gives them a lot of time to think of their answer. So then their answer might be very filtered into what they view themselves as, and not so much what they actually are. Because some people, like the way they view themselves is a lot like better, than how they can be lah in certain situations. Whereas I think if you talk on the phone, then there's less time to kind of come up with your perfect answer. It's more real lah. So I think like texting in particular is a bit hard.
Okay. So you would encourage people to straight away call
if possible, or like, I don't know, share deeper experiences.
Zoom. Young, you have anything to add?
I'm not the kind of person to deliberately ask questions to know someone. But how I know someone is how they respond to situations, difficult situations where they struggle, or if someone wronged them, someone offended them. That's how I usually get to know my friends more. So maybe you can cut this out from the video.
No, it's okay. We'll leave it in.
No, can ask situational questions.
There are situational questions. So like how would you respond to, or what's the most difficult challenge you've experienced in your life, or how did you overcome your most difficult? So there are situational questions. Thanks. That's a really good point to bring up. Kwang, Dylan, anyone wants to add to this?
I on the same wavelength as Ethan on this, on idea of sharing experiences first, rather like, what's your favorite food lah, what do you do on a perfect Sunday lah, this or that lah. But it speaking from some experience. Okay, there was I found the best way to actually get to know someone is like what you can say, to ask experiences, like you see what's the current experience that we're going through now, like say the pandemic, and to ask like whatever you're doing now and whatever job you're doing now, how are you working through it? What was your struggles, what were your difficulties, how are you overcoming it? And it naturally actually brings up the conversation to like, oh, maybe I was, I get very tired easily, or maybe because suffer from procrastination, always, not too good relationship with parents. And then these kind of experiences actually brings up the conversation. And we cannot tell you a step-by-step, ask this, then ask this, then ask this, then ask this. But when you see the conversation flow there, then you pick up on one or two things, and then you ask again, like, oh, you mentioned about maybe procrastination, like how do you overcome it? And you see how they overcome it. And then naturally, if the other person is also interested, there will also be like asking questions back and asking you this. And often not, the questions to get back to ask you is also asking your experience in these kind of things. And then that's where you share, your difficulties during times of Zoom, whether you feel tired, how do you overcome tiredness, how do you do this? And then naturally faith comes in also, how you seek about God, this or that. And the conversation just goes from there. But definitely like what Ethan said, talk about the experiences that you're going through now, and then share it even from your previous experiences.
Dylan?
I'm actually like just listening to what all you say.
Okay.
Picking up tips.
yeah, legit. Why I say that is because like I don't, or I'm similar to you. I don't think I deliberately like ask questions like that. But if I really had to, I would probably be like Marianne, like just straight to the point.
Yeah.
Bam, bam, bam. What are your values? Like cut to the chase, lah, right? Because
Yeah.
like if it's not gonna go anywhere, why do I waste your time? Why should you waste my time, right? But I also like the angle of how they I think some of you talked about experiences, and I never thought about it that way. Actually, it's quite interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I concur with almost everything you all have said. I think when you talk about goals and vision and interests and tough questions, even like what Marianne said, I think you have to talk about the most important thing in your life. And for me, for all of us, I think that's our faith, right? So I think if your most important thing in your life doesn't align with the other person's most important thing in their life, your friendship or your pursuit of a relationship can only go so far. And so secondary to that, I think would be your interest lah, your music, food, travel, what do you like to do, those kind of things. I think it's still important because you're going to hang out with this person a lot, whether as friends or even more than that in the future. So you need to know what they like, what they don't like, and how that will how both of you can enjoy these things together. So that's on my end. Okay, we are running out of time, so maybe just as a closing, Marianne, what age would you encourage people or discourage people from being on an online dating app? Because maybe someone's 35 years old and really needs to feels like they have gone through many guys or many girls, or maybe they've just not had an opportunity to meet someone and they're already in their 30s or late 20s, but there might be like 16, 17, 18-year-olds who are online. And so what age would you encourage or discourage someone from being on an online dating app?
I would say that age in terms of numbers is not the thing, but to ask yourself, like, if we know that as Christians we are not dating for fun, we are actually looking towards seriously towards considering a lifelong relationship, right, committed to marriage, then when you want to use that app, you got to ask yourself, am I at a stage where I am seriously considering entering into a relationship that will last, that will entail a lifelong commitment. I don't think that I seriously don't think, I know there are high school sweethearts, but there are very few. I don't think that secondary school is the place where you're going to say, this is the person I'm going to look for, somebody that I'm going to marry. So I mean, just logically speaking, maybe not the case. So therefore it sets kind of a boundary for the age there, isn't it? But then at the same time, like if you're like up to your 50s and you still feel the desire to want to meet someone, then we are saying that, from 30s to 50s or whatever it is, go for it lah, because it's online dating is not a sin. I think that's what we want to get across at the end to people. It is a platform, yet another opportunity for people to meet people and build relationships. And so even as Christians move into this into virtual platforms to meet one another, just remember your guiding principle must be scripture, God's design for marriage, holiness, purity, and go with that lah, with discernment and wisdom.
Yep. Thank you so much. Thank you, Marianne, Kwang, Yihong, Dylan, Yifan, for just joining us in this conversation. We just pray that you've taken back something from these last 2-3 episodes. As with the last 2 episodes, I want to encourage you, if you have anything to add, any questions to ask, any comments you want to bring forward, even feedback for us, please feel free to get in touch with us on our Instagram at suyouth.my, and like and subscribe to our YouTube channel also at suyouth.my, and we will see you on the next episode of Let's Chat Eavesdrop Edition. Bye.